Hey guys, Dylan from lolcoach.academy here. Today I've got a VOD review with one of my clients, John, who's a gold jungle main, and he's been learning Echo now for quite a while. I think he's at about 100 games now. Still getting the hang of him, but this is a really good in-depth analysis of how to jungle in preseason, so understanding micro, macro, understanding that every second counts in the jungle with the nerfs now to overall XP, and understanding, okay, what do you do beyond a gank? Do you just gank and then leave lane? Of course you don't. You gank, either push the lane or go get an objective, and so that's kind of what are the main focus areas that I go into this VOD review. But I also show how to abuse bad players, when to counter jungle, when to take objectives, when to gank, and how to maximize your jungle efficiency, particularly in regards to clearing. So I hope you guys enjoy the video, and yeah, leave a like, please subscribe, because I'm giving out heaps of educational content like this for you guys for free. I mean, this game, obviously you had you were 8-2, but you had kind of a 14-0, an 11-1 MF and LeBlanc, so they were quite strong this game. But besides that, you actually played quite a good game, and I'm going to go through kind of 6 overall focus areas I found. Obviously, the low farm one was an issue for you, but I think given the situation and given how much you ganked and how you kind of positioned bot and mid to win their lanes really comfortably, I mean, you pretty much were the reason LeBlanc and MF were able to get these scores, because you actually didn't back, I think, until 8 minutes, which was a little bit of a problem because you were sitting on about 2.6k gold and you were still ganking, but it really paid off for you in the end, and you actually were able to win MF and LeBlanc's lane in the first, 7 minutes of the game, which ultimately led to a 21-minute victory, which is ultimately the overall goal, in any ranked game. You want to be climbing quickly, and you pretty much did that. The first theme I note, so while there was low farm and, you got a really good win here, you were versing very bad players. I don't know if you identified this while you're playing, and I don't want to kind of, make this seem like a free victory, but the way your ganks and stuff were really great, but particularly your early game ganks, you were actually ganking through wards and their bot lane wasn't reacting. So I think you got away with a lot of early game ganks that allowed you guys to get this 22-minute victory, but it wasn't necessarily because you were playing, exceptionally. You were still playing really well, but they were playing really badly, John. So that was kind of the first thing I noticed. You kind of got objectives for free as well. That was mainly through the really obvious ganks that were pulled off. But yeah, that was my first one. The second one was the inefficient jungling, which was your kind of focus area. And that is mainly because the first problem was you were ganking a lot. So when you gank, obviously you have to sacrifice jungle camps for that, and while you get a lower CS, you'll actually find that you were ahead in XP almost the entire time against the Master Yi, and that's because when you gank, you get XP for the kill, but you also get indirect XP from helping the bot lane push out their wave, and with that kind of reduced XP in the jungle camps now, this little indirect XP boost that you get every time you gank is super important, and it showed in this game because I think that last game we reviewed where you lost hard, I think you only hit level 6 at 10 minutes, and I think by 10 minutes in this game, you were already level 8 and had so many more items and all this stuff. And I think while, your farm was a bit lower, the positive side of the low farm was that instead of farming minions, you were farming champions and helping your team farm champions. And, again, you got a 50% kill participation in this game, which is one of your highest you've ever gotten in Echo with Echo. I think, in your last, whoever knows many games, almost last 20 games. So, again, a really good game to review there because you were really good with your micro. So, not really good with your micro, but your actual knowledge of Echo seems to have grown a lot, but also your macro ability to be in, 50% of your team fights in a 20-minute game is quite an achievement for junglers, because generally a lot of junglers, when they see their team winning, they just start auto farming and not really helping out and kind of delay the game finishing a bit. But your kind of contribution early game, mid game, and I guess late game, even though there wasn't really a late game in this, really helped out your team just close out this game quicker. The third point I noticed was maximizing your time. So I've written all these key themes down. I'll send you the doc. You'll get it when you see this video. The third one was maximizing your time. So every second counts in the jungle, and the higher and higher you get, you're going to realize that. But also with preseason, with the nerfs to a lot of the camps, XP, but overall jungle XP nerfs, every second really counts here. And I probably counted, we can count in the game, you waste about 30 seconds to a minute in total in your base AFK. So it's not waiting for gold for an item. I literally counted it out, and it goes, I think, to about 40 seconds by 15 minutes. There's 40 seconds there where you're literally kind of sitting in base, not doing anything. And so that's, 1 to 2 jungle camps a game that you're missing out on there. So that's the kind of key area that I really think you should focus on when you back. While you're backing, you should immediately be looking at the shop, particularly in this game, because you're never under threat when you were backing. Obviously, Echo has a lot of escapes as well, so you can actually kind of focus on what you're buying while recalling, then buy it as quickly as you can, and then just sit on the rim of the base until 75% mana, 90% health, and then run out of base. Every second counts there, and you're going to be saving yourself 45 seconds, which means you can get an extra gank off, you can get an extra gank and a jungle camp off, or you can get 2 extra jungle camps, or you can clear an entire dragon in that time. So that's another key one that's going to help with that efficient jungling that you're feeling. And that's going to come with practice, but it's also going to become with, yourself actively reminding yourself, okay, when I'm in base, this is what I'm buying this game. I've set it all out. You've got your pre-designed builds, I see, with your Echo, etc. So make sure you update that with your Magi's build, because I'm not sure if it's updated yet. I saw it a couple of games ago, and it didn't look like it was updated with your new Magi's build path. Update that. Make sure Zhonya's is in there, especially for those late games, because Zhonya's is really critical on Echo. And yeah, that's kind of the third key. The fourth one was your Echo macro and micro have improved dramatically. Obviously, there's a lot of work still to be done, and I'll show you that. And obviously, you know that, I know that, but you're really making really good progress now. And I guess it was, I usually see Echoes or jungle champs, there's usually a 50-game barrier, and then the player starts either really excelling or just kind of realizing, okay, this champion isn't for me. But, I mean, you've almost hit that in your 100-game mark. You're really seeing now drastic improvements in your Echo gameplay, and that's really helping you win these games, boosting your win ratio here, and really making Echo a potential pick for you in Season 10. The fifth one is maximizing leads. So pretty much the entire duration of this game, you were ahead of Yi, and I know you know Yi. I mean, a lot of the fights where you and Yi fought, you pretty much were bullying him. I mean, Echo really probably shouldn't win a 1v1 against Yi, but you were pretty much bullying him every time. And so something like this is when you're playing a matchup that, one, Echo, you've now played 100 games on him, but two, your opponent jungler, so Master Yi. You can tell immediately, A, if the Yi's bad or if he's good, B, when I win, a certain trade, or when I win the 1v1, or what, when I should be counter jungling him, or when I should be invading him, because these are his weak points, these are his strong points. But also see, if you understand he's a good player or if he's a bad player, you need to adapt your game accordingly. And I think this game particularly, while Yi, I think, ended, 1-8 or something like that. 1-11. You didn't actually abuse your dominance over him enough in terms of counter jungling. You abused it in terms of objectives, ganking, grouping, getting turrets and stuff, but you didn't actually abuse it enough in terms of CS. And he ends up, I think, being on 89 CS. You end up being on 92. And so that kind of shows that while you beat him in every other aspect, there was still an extra aspect there where you could have beaten him in. And that's mainly because, especially when you get tier 1s as early as you do, all you should be farming in your jungle is really your blue buff, your red buff, and then the rest of the time you should pretty much be spending in his enemy jungle, particularly when your laners are pushed up, which was the case for most of this game. So that's kind of your number 5. And then the 6th one was objective control. I was really happy with your objective control this game, but I was also really happy that you weaved in objective control perfectly with ganking, pretty well with CS, but also with grouping, with 1v1s, and pretty much everything but counter jungling. So it was almost the perfect game. You know, obviously there's always room for improvement, but you pretty much hit almost every nail on the head to an extent, except for counter jungling. I don't think you even, you might have only cleared 2 or 3 camps the entire time, when really that's something really important that you should now be focusing on as a priority area, particularly when you get an early game lead in the jungle. So let's jump into the game now. So I'm just going to kind of let it play, focus on you. I'll turn the sound up. So first thing here is, you know, your early game, we've talked about this before, but what I want you to do in your early game is you want to get this yellow trinket. You want to get your yellow trinket either here, anywhere here, or anywhere up here, because one, if you can't get it here, you can assume that they're starting bot side. But if you can assume that, you can actually guarantee it by putting your ward here, or here, or even here, and then you can see if Yee's coming for this red buff. And so what that does is, instead of just sitting here kind of AFK for the first 1 minute 30 of the game, you're actually already influencing the map and already giving your team knowledge for the first at least 4 or 5 minutes of the game where Yee is pathing. Because if he starts here, you can almost immediately assume that he's going to come down here for his level 3, level 4, and then he's either going to gank bot or mid. However, if he starts here, you know, okay, he does this camp, and then you can assume however long he takes in this quadrant, once he runs past the ward that you've placed here, you can assume, okay, he's going to gank top or mid next. And that helps your team, but it also helps you understand, okay, where should I counter jungle if I can? Where should I gank if I can? Where should I counter gank if I can? So that's the only little tip here. And also the benefit of that is, you put the yellow trinket down, and then you immediately back and buy sweepers. You're still not buying sweepers early enough, in my opinion. Pretty much every jungler out there who's worth, you know, $1, who's in high elo, they pretty much all buy sweepers as soon as they can, except for when they're playing champions like Master Yi, sorry, not Master Yi, Lee Sin or Jax, where they need the ward to ward hop. Another little thing is here, don't use your spells unless you have to. You kind of use your W here for no reason. It's not a big issue, but what it does is it just highlights to the enemy that what level 1 spell you used. And so theoretically, if you didn't ward here, they could have come around here knowing you had W. They kind of know you didn't have much escape with, say, your E or your Q. So that's a little tip is, not only 1, don't show your abilities, but 2, don't actually learn any abilities until you need to. You don't actually need to learn your Q, your W, your E until 1 minute 30, literally until your camp spawns. So that's a little thing here. The next thing here is, well, the every second counts theme. You're pathing here, so you're actually leashing the red buff away from your bot side who are trying to get here, but you're also actually trying to get here for your second clear. I'll talk about why you shouldn't clear here second after red buff. However, how you make it work is quite good, but this is really inefficient not only for you, but also for your bot lane, because if you leash this way, or if you keep the kind of buff here, you can actually end up killing the red buff here, and then you can just WE over here, which not only reduces the jungle pathing here, but it also means your MF and your Thresh get to lane quicker and can either choose to, you know, hyper push this, freeze it, you know, get the level 2 cheese on them, etc, etc. So that's just a little thing with red buff. Always leash it towards where you want to go, but also to where you want to have your, you know, whoever's leashing it, leash it towards them to make their job as easy as possible. The next thing is, I know I'm saying a lot of things here, but, you know, determine your jungle route. It seemed like after you did red buff, you were kind of unsure of what you actually wanted to do here. When really, if you're going here, you should kind of at least identify your first wave clear path. Okay, I'm going to go red buff, bot side, and then, you know, go back to blue and then gank or whatever. But with this, you kind of waste again, you know, maybe a total of 10-15 seconds here with the inefficient leash, then with the awkward pathing here instead of here. And then the time it actually takes to kill Krugs, particularly with the preseason nerfs, is the camp is actually not worth taking anymore unless you're, using it as a tool to gank bot lane. And obviously this game you use it as a tool to gank bot lane. But overall, in terms of bot quadrant jungle versus top quadrant jungle, besides red buff, the blue side is always more efficient. And what I mean by blue side is I mean the blue buff side. So this side of the map for red team, this side of the map for blue team is more XP efficient. Wolves, Frog, blue buff together equal not only more CS, but they're also 3 camps that are easier to clear besides red buff, especially for champions like Echo, but they're also faster to clear, so you lose a lot less health on Wolves, Frog, and blue buff compared to Golems, Krugs, Gromps, and then red buff. So that's another little thing there. Again, a little bit of awkward pathing here. Ideally, you'd start red buff. If you're wanting to gank bot side, you'd start red buff, do Wraiths, Raptors, and then come down to Krugs, and then gank that way. But instead, you kind of go here, down to here, back through, and you'll end up overlapping your play. If you go from here to here, then down to here, while you're overlapping your play, you end up actually being closer to where you want to gank in the end. And so this is good. Pinging on the way is really good. You've given your team about 10 seconds warning here. But another thing is, again, and this is one of the themes, is this bot lane are kind of dumb. You walk right past a ward here, and they don't even react. They reacted about, 2-3 seconds after they've actually got vision on you. You do a nice little E flash here, get the stun on Naught, which allows Thresh to get the hook, and you get an easy first blood there, without having to burn anything other than your flash. Your bot lane doesn't have to burn anything. So perfect there. So here's another area where I thought you need to assume what Yi's doing. So while this Yi wasn't actually a very good jungler this game, in the first 3 minutes of the game, you can't actually tell if this Yi's good or not. But what you can tell is if you show bot side, chances are, especially in, gold and above, chances are their jungler is going to invade your top side, because he can literally now get all these 3 camps pretty much for free, because he knows your bot side, and it's going to take at least 25 seconds for you to get back to top side. So here, as a suggestion, obviously going for Scuttle's good, but I also think you had the opportunity here to take Frog and Wolves. And as we know, with what I just said recently, is these camps give you more XP than your Raptors and your Krugs. So taking these not only gives you more XP, but it also takes away XP from Yi, but it also actually makes the XP trade almost as equal as possible here. So that's another little thing that could have been focused on in terms of efficiency, higher jungle, and all that. But again, I really like this strategy. It's a little bit cheesy, and again, it won't work against a good team or a good bot lane. And again, you walk through vision for this gank, yet you still manage to, sorry, not here, but they still kind of see you. And what you do is, while you waste 30, 40 seconds doing this gank, I assume you know that Yi's kind of taken your top side or only your blue buff, but you can assume he's cleared it all. He's getting scuttled. So at this point, if you don't go for the counter jungle, I guess this is the best decision you make. In terms of visibility here, I think you're actually seen here. So one, they can actually see you with this gank. So what I would have recommended is, we'll just go back a little bit with that red vision. So here, they can't see you. They can't see you. They still can't see you. The 2 minions that give vision of you come here. So right now, 349. Instead of you pathing down here, literally half a second quicker, they actually see you here, and yet this bot lane still end up dying. They even ping that they're in danger here, yet they still don't actually respect it at all. You wait here, you end up super patient, you even sit on a ward here. So I honestly don't know how this happens. This Caitlyn doesn't respect it, and you guys manage to get the kills. So here's that theme of, you know, you're versing a bad team, but you're abusing it, so it's fine. But this isn't going to happen every game, and this is an anomaly, so don't assume, you know, that kind of strategy is going to work 100% of the time. It's quite cheesy, but it's also, you know, has a really high fail rate because of, you know, vision. You literally walk past vision twice for that gank, and they still... Actually, you've walked past vision 3 times, and yet you still were able to get the kill. But, as we said, you know, your kind of attitude shift, or the recommendation to shift your focus as Echo from jungling, in terms of PVM, player versus monster, to PvP, player versus player, has really helped you out here. Again, here... You probably could have actually fought the Yi together here, because Diana's already on... So slow... I'll speed this up. So while you're low here, you guys are actually... You actually win the 2v2 here. One, because Diana's on 150 mana, and she's already been bursted down here. Obviously... LeBlanc has used summoners here, but as soon as Yi shows, you don't actually need to eat out. What you can do is bait his Q as he alpha strikes, then you E out. He has to position further here, because that's where he comes out with his alpha strike, and then you jump in back on him together, because your actual feinting, or your reasoning to be scared here, while he does have flash up, is it also makes LeBlanc feel scared, and Diana isn't actually able to join this fight. There's no way she can join this fight with 70 mana. Obviously a Crescent Strike, but she can't actually combo with her Lunar Rush to actually get to you guys here. So this is literally a 2v1. Yi alpha strikes, and you throw out your Q. You should know better as a Yi main that he's not going to end up there. So you throw out your Q thinking maybe he's not going to alpha strike or whatever. But there you could have actually killed Yi in the 2v1. Here again, your W, you generally place your W2 defensively, when you could have easily placed it here and then gotten actually the stun on both of them here, because Yi was still meditating just out of range. But if it was here, he literally would have taken it, or he would have had to flash, and then you could have got the kill here. So that's just little micro stuff with Echo that I noticed immediately here. But what you do here is what I wanted you to do here, kind of. You dash out, so the Yi ends up taking a turret shot. LeBlanc obviously misses her W, but gets the easy combo there. So super easy kill there. We just keep playing. And again, at this point, this is what I said. You know, you're sitting on 1.5k gold here at 5 minutes. You can actually afford to back here, but instead you actually, you know, do a good thing here. You push out Diana a bit more, and this ganking is, you know, super inefficient, but it actually works out in your favor pretty much throughout this game. But I just want to let you know that it's not going to work like this every time. This was kind of an anomaly because your bot lane, the enemy bot lane and the enemy mid lane were actually not very good players, and you were able to kind of get away with a lot of, you know, naughty ganks that usually wouldn't happen. So yep, you're just standard clearing. Again, you're yet to go top side, which is actually the most efficient jungle side in the first 6 minutes. And obviously at this time, you could probably say that you haven't gone here because you assumed Yi cleared it all. And now, while, you know, obviously I would always come bot instead of top side, you still need to be aware that that is the highest XP side of the jungle now. Here, good scuttle priority. You know the timers, perfect. Yi's inting here, so we watch Yi int. He goes for the turret dive without flash. Who knows what he's thinking there, while you're getting scuttle. And then what you do is you help clean this up. So they get the double kill, and you come in. Good awareness, immediately going from scuttle down to here. Really good awareness. You know, again, nothing spectacular by you, but it's just, you know, you understand macro, you understand where you need to be, you understand vision, and you have good awareness of your lanes. So really good here. You just get the cleanup kill. First kill of the game. Perfect. And again, you know, 7 minutes. What I'd recommend here is you help them push this out straight away. help them push this out, get it to turret, even take that first plating because Caitlyn's still got 6-second death timer, and then go to red buff. Instead of doing what you do here, you don't help them out. All you do is ping dragon. You can actually make, again, save about 10 seconds here, but also gain, 40 gold here. I think it's 60 together. I think it's 40 or 60 gold here each, just by getting that plating with them. Instead of wasting time here, you're literally doing nothing. This is dead time. You could have helped them push out here and then done dragon together. However, it's all good. You guys end up getting dragon, so a little bit of an inefficiency there, but not the end of the world. So yep, clearing dragon, there's no good tips to do this. You do it perfectly fine. Just make sure that AoE auto attacks aren't hitting all three of you, because if Yi does decide to come in, he can sometimes get an easy triple. So here again, I would have recommended to back. You're now on, 2.2k gold. You're not actually at any power spike when you haven't backed yet. So you're still pretty much a normal Echo here. While you're 1 and 2 and have 2.2k gold, you're not actually any stronger than you were besides on levels. I wouldn't recommend ganking on this health again, and it's a testament to you reversing bad players, and whether you knew that early game or not, you kind of played as if you knew they were bad players, so I'm going to assume that you knew they were bad players and that's why you're playing so risky, but I'm also going to assume that you're playing like this because of what we said yesterday on Instagram with the, play hyper-aggressive, just gank, and see what happens. So, really happy with these ganks, and they've really pulled off nicely. Again, perfect W. You actually dash to the left to get the stun a little bit quicker, which I thought was really nice. And then LeBlanc gets the kill, pushes them further ahead. So you take a little bit too long to realize that Yi's getting, or LeBlanc's getting ganked here, but you come over in the end. I think you do, yep. You help get the kill. Perfect. You actually get the kill there. Awesome. And so at 8 minutes, your first back is 2.7k gold. Again, you don't need to walk all the way back here. What I'd recommend is actually backing here because, one, you get to share the XP with LeBlanc. Now, while that's cheeky, as a jungler, you really need to do that because she's already level 8 and you're level 6. So there's no harm in you taking a bit of XP from her when she's level 6. So back here, because you get all this bit of XP, that can get you, to 60% level 6, 60, 75% level 6, whatever. And then you're just backing in a much more efficient spot. Not only are you saving time, but you also wasted again about probably like 5 seconds here and also XP here. Not a big deal, but if you're wanting to increase your efficiency in the jungle, that's a tip that you should always be looking at. How can I maximize my XP? How can I maximize my back time? I want to back, when I want to back as quickly as possible in the safest spot, and finding the balance between those is super easy, especially when you've just got a kill in the lane. So here again, wasting time. You're not actually waiting for anything here. And so you take about 3 to 4 seconds here, wasted time. Again, it adds up, as I said, to 45 seconds to a minute, particularly when you add in those, slow back timers, recall points. We're looking at about a minute 30 in a 21-minute game where you've wasted or made dead time. So there's another really good area for you to focus on in terms of efficiency. And again, at 9 minutes, so we're looking at that low farm, reasoning. Obviously, you did a really gank-heavy first 7 minutes, but this is your first time in the topside jungle of your map at 9 minutes. So, that's not a bad thing because in the context of this game, you're actually doing a lot of work elsewhere. But this usually isn't acceptable, taking the first 9 minutes of the game, not even coming into your topside quadrant. But the way you played early game made this forgivable because you got a lot of ganks off in mid. You got, I think, 2-3 kills in mid. 2-3 kills in bot, all on your first back. So, again, that's perfectly fine. And now LeBlanc's winning her lane on her own. She's now comfortably, not comfortably 2v1ing, but quite easily doing it. Here, so another thing, if you don't need to show yourself, don't show yourself. So while this is the most efficient path to Rift Herald, what you can actually do is jump here, E over here as Echo, or even go round. Obviously you don't have sweep, you do have sweeper yet. You can go around here, sweep this, and then use the blast cone so Yi doesn't actually have any way possible, while you know Yi's here, no one else has any way possible other than flashing over or dashing over or walking around here to actually get you. Do that. Don't show vision. While nothing happens because of this, again, in a game where you're going to be versing good players, you're not going to get away with this. So, you know, given the timing of this, you know, Malphite's in lane. We know where LeBlanc is. We know where 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 champions on the map is because Diana's dead. It's just good practice not to show vision if you don't need to. So, yep, you do Rift Herald. You know, it's a pretty good choice. You were never going to get down here for this fight. So, if anything, you know, Malphite should have actually been timing his TPs with Fiora. So that kind of death, all these deaths here aren't your fault. And although it's actually a 2-for-1, so not even the end of the world, and you're getting Rift, so it's actually a net positive trade, particularly with what you do with Rift in this game. So cool here, all standard. Rift, you know, there's no real super quick way to clear it as long as you're actually staying out of vision. So again, you're actually in vision for a lot of the time clearing that. So if Diana was smart, you know, she probably could have just walked around here and tried to Q it. Obviously she didn't, but again, that's just, you know, being aware of this vision and making sure you don't show yourself here while doing Rift. And that means, you know, doing it here, because as an Echo, you can easily jump over, you can easily flash over, but you've also got your ult. So as long as you're pathing consistently around here, your ult can either help you get out, help you do damage to the Rift or the enemy that invades you, or just use an E out of here, wait for them to flash over, then R back over. So here's good patience. You wait till your timers are up, get the perfect snare off, you weave an auto attack. So let's just go back here, because this is something not a lot of Echo players do, and I don't know if you did this on purpose, but anyway, really nice little play here. So here, you wait perfectly, pretty much maximize the time. Here you get that auto attack in perfectly. Then you release your Q, maximizing the CC, but also maximizing your damage output. Perfectly playing this. You don't miss an auto attack. You don't cancel an auto attack. Here, definitely didn't need to ult. So again, you know, like last game that we reviewed, stop wasting ults if you don't have to. You didn't need to use your ult there. But that's only 1 of 2 times, I think, in this 20-minute game that you misuse your ult. And here, you could have actually used your ult to really help kill this Yi while you guys still end up killing him. Again, using your W here, not the best spot to use it. I'll just go back a little bit. So good here. Good use of Rift. Again here, don't be scared of the Yi. He doesn't even have his Highlander up. And also, MF has heal. So you guys are in a really safe position here, as well as you out-damaging him and you have levels. Here, you do a good damage combo here, but instead of Wing where he is, and not... So, you actually could have taken time here. You path a bit inefficiently here. You could have got 1 or 2 auto attacks off on him. Obviously, you would have taken turret damage, so you're waiting for the Rift to tank turret. This W should have actually been about here. Because as we know, Yi's most likely, and obviously he does in this situation, but he's almost always going to flash the furthest distance away from you. And given you two are positioned here and here, he can't flash left, he can't flash right, he can't flash behind you, he has to flash in front. And this W really, all it does is give you a shield. You flash over, which again is a little bit trigger happy, but, you know, when you're 3-0-4 on a champion you've been, you know, not struggling with a lot, but, you're in a really high tempo mindset. And so that flash and that ult previously are all just consequences of what happens when you get a little bit too excited in League. But again, with a game where you're 15-3 at 11 minutes, you don't need to worry too much about these little, hyper mistakes that you make because, you're in a really aggressive mindset, because they're not going to end the game or make you lose the game, as you can see here. All it means is you're flashing your ult down. So cool here, you maximize Rift, perfect use of Rift, you pretty much get 4 platings off on it. You get first turret bonus at 11 minutes. So perfect use of objectives. And in the first 11 minutes of this game, you found the perfect balance between objectives, ganking, and, you know, while CSing and counter jungling aren't the best, you're actually on par with Yi so far. You're beating him in items, not beating him in items, sorry, because you're actually sitting on 1.5k gold. But you're pretty much even with him in farm, but you've actually ganked, you've been involved in 7 more successful fights or kills than he has, and he's already 0-5. And so again, at this point, this is where, you know, obviously you're ganking. This is perfect. But whenever you're not ganking, don't go to your jungle. Go to his jungle. Fight him in his jungle, because you've got pressure here. Obviously, you don't know where Fiora is, but you can assume she's coming here. All this jungle is completely free, just as an example there. Good, you burn the flash. So here, if you had ult and flash, you might have actually been able to get a kill a little bit quicker here. But instead, you just group bot. No, you actually, I think you go to, again, the most inefficient jungle camp. So this is something I haven't told you before, so it's not the end of the world. Sorry, not the end of the world. So yeah, here, I don't know if you had sweepers. It looks like you did have sweepers. So using sweepers not only when you came around here to identify that control ward, but also at least using sweepers on the way back here so you can clear that is just a good habit as a jungler. So again, that area that we've already identified multiple times with you, John, use your trinket more, particularly when you've got a sweeper, because you're only at a 5 vision score at 12 minutes, which kind of isn't acceptable. Even Yi's beating you with an 8 vision score and he's 0-5. So here, this is perfect. You mistime a couple of things here, but you end up getting the kill. One thing here, so we're going to slow-mo this again because I'm not actually happy with how you played this. So, the Yi, perfect. So besides, you know, missing the first point of the Q, and, you know, you play as Yi a lot, so you should really kind of be able to get into his mind and understand when he's going to alpha strike, when he's going to Wuju style, etc., when he's going to heal. So not much excuse for that, but you can get away with it given your lead over him. So perfect. This W again, perfect positioning. I mean, you don't know. We actually do know that Fiora is coming here, but you know, a W here probably would have been more ideal because instead of actually using this W, you panic and use your ult to hit your W. When in hindsight, all you had to do was walk back here. Fiora's almost immediately going to dash into you because 1, she's used her ult, and 2, you're low health. So instead of actually using your ult to get into this W, you could have just walked back here, gotten the W on her, probably hit the stun, and then actually turn this fight by now either using your ult here to jump back onto her or just running her down and at the very least getting a Dark Harvest proc here. So a little bit of a misplay there, but again, you know, you're improving so much as an Echo. I'm just showing you how you can improve more, particularly in this game with a couple of slow-mos, because I know we're wanting to build you up into a really good Echo player. So here, perfect, get the objective. You don't actually need help here. So this, again, there's kind of 3 choices here. You can do the dragon, which I'd recommend. You can help them push, which is, again, probably the second best option. Or 3, you can kind of take Yi's entire jungle. But given, you know, you killed him, you know, 30 seconds ago, you can assume he's going to be in this jungle. And you can assume Caitlyn and Nort are already on their way back here. So this is the most uncontested, most efficient objective given how important dragons are in the preseason. So right choice here, even though you had 3 options, or even 4, you know, you could have gone mid, but I definitely wouldn't recommend that. Or you could have gone bot side and taken your entire jungle, which, trust me, while you think it's obvious to do dragon here, a lot of junglers would have come here or, you know, done something else, you know, maybe tried to set up a gank here. So perfect use here. Again, you don't have your R because you misused your R here, so this is a little bit dangerous given you don't have flash, but you get it for free. You back here, which is good, and perfect. So here, wasting time in base again. So you're at 1700 gold. It's taken you 4 seconds to purchase your first item. another 3 seconds to purchase your second, and then another 2 or 3 seconds to purchase your third, and then another 1 or 2 seconds wasted after you buy your boots. So instead of sitting here when you're buying, first have your shop open here. Obviously you're in a bit of a dangerous back, so I can forgive you for not having your shop open, but have your shop open. First thing, as soon as you recall, move to here, and while you're moving, buy your first item, buy your second item, buy your third item, wait here till you're 75% mana, 90% health, and then walk out and do whatever you had to do. You know, saving yourself about 8 seconds in total in just one little interaction there. So that's something, again, I want you to focus on a lot. Start being conscious of, how can I save a second here? How can I save a second there? How can I save 2 seconds here, 3 seconds here? Because at that time, you know, that doesn't add up. But in, you know, when you add it all up over a 20-minute, over a 40-minute game, you're actually going to be saving yourself 3 to 4 minutes per game in dead time. And say you could have actually been with the LeBlanc here to get this kill, or any kind of other outcome. You could have been flanking here, so you could have actually killed it. So again, as soon as you see Yi, I like this aggressiveness. This is what I want to see. You know your bot side's coming. You know your mid is pretty even here. Good aggression by you. Use it again to path here. So this is one of my favorite ganks that you do. And this is a gank that pretty much every Echo player should be doing at least once, twice a game in the first 15 to 20 minutes. You can even do them as soon as you hit level 6, but this is one that also comes a lot more from counter jungling. So if you're counter jungling, you get these ganks off, whether it's top side here with here, or bot side here, or, you know, jumping through here or just walking through. These are the ganks that Echo excels in, and you use it perfectly. The only recommendation is here is use your sweeper while you're in river. So you not only you sweep this, so you see you're kind of hovering like you don't have sweeper or something. You're almost playing as if you're in vision, but all you have to do is use your sweeper. Here, you don't have to stutter step here, wasting, you know, again, 2-3 seconds. You then red trinket around here, so it's not maximizing your red trinket, and they could actually be, you know, somehow masturbating you here. With Yi and Diana already pathing down, they could assume that you're already here if they had vision here. And again, this is bad enemies. These guys should never be in this situation. Yet you managed to get the stun off, get pretty much maximum damage off. You could have taken one more turret attack here because you would have ended up just being about here. But that's fine. A little bit of an inefficiency, but you end up getting the Naught and you end up killing the Kate here. So perfect. Yi is, you know, who knows what Yi's doing at this point. LeBlanc's pretty fine. She's just trolling or baiting. You come to help her. So again, you're the first one to rotate out of your team. So really good awareness by you. You jump over here and... why are you fighting Yi here? You know, you've just gotten turret. You're now sitting on... you know, you're not sitting on a lot of gold, but what you have done is you don't have flash, you don't have smite, you don't have ult, and you've used your only, you know, piece of mobility on Yi to jump and actually get to him quicker. And all this does is he actually cancels your E, and you lose this 1v1 because 1, Diana gets the priority, 2, your team isn't helping you, and 3, you've used every ability you possibly have here. So again, a little bit of a micro mismanagement there that ends up in a death, and that's kind of the biggest micro mismanagement and tempo mismanagement or strength mismanagement of this game by you. So it's not a big deal, but it's still quite a significant one. Red team's turret has been destroyed. So we'll just speed this up. I mean, you pretty much know it's GG at this point, so you don't need to be, you know, too concerned or beat yourself up about this little fight. But again, if you're versing better players, you can't get away with those kind of silly deaths. And you actually had a bounty on your head there, so you actually potentially put Yi back into the game now. Although, you know, he's still, you know, only 800 gold behind you now, while you have 10, you know, you have 5 kills, 5 assists, and all he has is 1 kill, 0 assists. He's now, you know, less than a K gold behind you. Obviously, you have XP advantage on him, but not even that much. So that's something, particularly in a closer game, you can't afford to die like that. And again, your death kind of results in LeBlanc having to do this really awkward little dance here. You rush straight over, which I know... I think it's a little bit silly, but because you guys are so far ahead, you can kind of get away with how you do this. The W here, again, is quite random. I don't know what you're trying to get out of this W, whether you're trying to get vision here or something, but if you kind of know that they're here, given this ward, you should be Wing, you know, at least here, or even waiting a little bit longer, getting the W here, because you now have flash and ult up, so you can be a hyper-aggressive W instead of a slightly defensive W. But you still get the kills. Again, you could flash that trap, but Malphite, you know, you end up getting all these kills. Or don't, do you? Yeah. So you end up getting that kill, you wasted flash there, but you could have actually used your flash there to get the trap. Again, save another 5 seconds with this team fight. And yeah, so it's GG at this point. You're grouping, so really good. You're grouping with your team. Some junglers would have, you know, gone for here and here instead of actually coming out here to help the LeBlanc. But what you do is you come out, even though it's 16 minutes in, you come out and you guys are pretty much turret diving tier 2s at 16 minutes. So super aggressive, but also a super good idea because of the context of this game. You know, you're 26 and 4. You can afford to dive tier 2 turrets and get away with it. So again, this W, you're never going to be able to get to that W unless you have flash. A little bit random. You could have just used your W here, saving yourself there, but also you had your ult up that entire time. So, you know, that mismanagement and the micro mismanagement here against Yi were your two biggest ones of this game. Not the end of the world, but it's just someone who's still getting used to the champion, but also isn't adapting to, you know, the ebbs and flows of the game. While you guys are 24, you know, 27 and 5 at this point, it's 17 minutes into the game, you're not invincible. You know, you're not Superman. You still need to use your abilities and be somewhat smart about it. So here you guys are grouping, and again, you pretty much do everything perfectly. You go for the dragon, you go for your red buff, and then I think go for the dragon, which is the perfect choice. Again, stop doing Krugs because they're the most inefficient camp now. Not only do they take the longest, but they also give the least XP. Instead, maybe do Raptors and then go for the top side, or even, you know, do red buff and then look at his jungle. Fight Yi in his jungle, because one, you've got ult up, so you can fight him, and if it doesn't work out, you can just jump out. But two, if you get the kill, you get an even more free dragon than what actually ends up happening. And you also relieve pressure for your Malphite and your MF. So fine, you do a full bot side clear while you're waiting for dragon, which is perfectly understandable. Another option is, instead of going here, you could have pathed straight to Rift Herald, because you guys have kind of priority here. You could have done Rift and then, you know, come to Ocean maybe 10 seconds late. You know, you've got vision of Yi, so you can tell if he's going to be coming. Instead, he goes for his blue, so you know kind of he's not going to be coming to this dragon yet. You've got full vision of it. There's no way he can pretty much get to dragon. And you could have done Rift and then come and done Ocean. So that was the one kind of objective play in this game that you could have got perfect, pretty much objective score with this game. You could have got both Rifts and the first 3 dragons. So yep, all good here. I'll slow this down. So I'll go back a little bit, because this is one of my favorite fights that you do for the first half of it, but the second half I don't like. So one here, you know Yi's coming, so the first thing you do is you see Yi, and what do? You path perfectly. This is the perfect position to get to. The only better one is to jump into this bush, because while dragon's attacking you, Yi cannot actually have vision of you here, because this is a neutral objective, not his objective. So even if dragon's attacking you in here, he can't actually see you in here. So pretty much perfect here besides being there. And what you do here is, not only do you get damage off on him before he gets damage off on you because you outrange him, he also starts having to tank the dragon buff. So he takes 1 auto attack, 2 auto attacks, you get your combo off here. Again, you didn't need to E here, you could have just 1v1'd him here. You E off, waste your ult, don't waste your ult, but kind of use it inefficiently when all you had to do was either E him here, kill him like that, and then use your ult if you were kind of worried that he was going to kill you. And obviously you were trying to get him away from Dragon, which worked in this situation. But all you had to do was E or R him here, and you would have been able to kill him. Although he ends up dying in the end, you would have ended up killing him and also getting Dragon. So again, a little micro mismanagement there, but it's good to identify it. It's good to go through in slow-mo, and it's good for you to identify, okay, that's what I should have done differently to maximize that little opportunity. But again, you know, you're 30-5, so a little mistake like that's not going to cost you the game, but when you know you're 10-10, 20 minutes, and you have a Dragon each, that kind of play can make all the difference. So here, I mean, the rest of this game is pretty much a stomp. You get turret perfectly. Only thing here is, I'll talk to it in a little bit. You waste a lot of time here. You're kind of just, you know, shooting Qs out when really you should just be auto-attacking the turret. Because your team at this point has the ability to turret dive. And instead, again, you don't even get a single auto attack off on this turret the whole time. So again, while you're 32-5, it doesn't matter in a game like this, but in a game where it's much closer, it's going to mean a lot more. So good grouping. I don't know. Oh, it's Diana pinging, but good grouping here. Again, look how far you're sitting back. I know you don't have ult, but it's pretty much in 3 seconds. You can kind of be playing a bit more aggressively with your team if they're playing that aggressively. Because, I mean, there's no hope of them, those two people, contesting and inhibit 20 minutes against you guys when they have 3 champions dead. So here, all good. Again, sitting a little bit too far back, but it's fine because of the situation in this game. I mean, it's GG at this point. It doesn't really matter where you're sitting. But in a 40-minute game, your positioning is very important, or a lot more important. So here, you take a little bit too long to react here. So while your team's, you know, strong enough to win this without you, I mean, with you coming a bit late, and you end up getting a triple kill. Oh no, so you end up just getting a double kill. You could have helped your team out a little bit there, and again, it doesn't matter in a game like this, but in a closer game, it really does. So, great game. We'll finish it. Perfect. We'll look at your stats. But yeah, really good game. I won't go over the themes I addressed at the start, because I'm going to show you that in a Google Doc along with timestamps of everything I noticed when I reviewed this game before actually commentating on this one. So, overview, you guys are pretty much ahead in goal the entire time. Scoreboard, you out-jungled the Yi, 8-2-10, 1-11-0. He was literally in one fight. Obviously, they only got 5 kills, but your kill participation, as we saw, was 50%. His was like 25%, or 20%. So, I mean, he was useless. You beat him in goal by about 3k. Perfect. Stats here. KDA I'm happy with. Total damage I'm happy with. I mean, obviously, LeBlanc and MF were in a lot more fights and a lot more kills than you, but you had pretty much the 3rd highest damage in the game. Vision score. So this one was a little bit of a problem. You almost had the lowest vision score in the game, and as a jungler, you never should have. You pretty much should have the 3rd highest in the vision score in the game, meaning the only 2 people who should be beating you are the 2 supports. And then, you know, you should be beating the other jungler every time, because I know you've got quite a good awareness of buying control wards, using your wards efficiently, but when you get sweepers, you sometimes don't use it enough. So that's another focus area I want you to focus on. Vision score, placing more wards. You only bought 1 control ward this entire game, although you could have afforded to probably buy 4 or 5. So damage dealt, perfect. I mean, again, LeBlanc and MF were always going to deal more damage than you, but you were the 3rd highest damage dealer. Runes, good to see here. Dark Harvest was 690. Souls harvested 12 in 20 minutes, so that's fine. Sudden Impact, Eyeball Collection. Times activated Ravenous Nimbus Cloak, sorry. Perfect. And look at this healing. So 3.7k healing. It's just Ravenous Hunter is such an insane not keystone. Rune at the moment, or kind of spell tree to go. It's just so strong. Obviously, you can go to the alt cooldown one on Echo as well. But I think Ravenous Hunter, I mean, healing 3.8k health on a champion that doesn't have any other healing ability is such a valuable tool. It literally gives him, spell vamp. It gives him pretty much a Hextech Gunblade in terms of spell vamp. It's just so important, I think, on champions like this, but it's so underrated and no one uses it, so it's not going to get nerfed for a long time. So really good there, John. Really happy with this game. So super proud of this one. I mean, literally overnight, you have improved dramatically on Echo. And obviously, there's a lot of factors at play. You're lagging in that last game I reviewed. You're a bit tilted in that last game because the stream wasn't working, etc., etc. But this game, you had that mentality of gank, 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 but you also had the really good mentality of objective, objective, objective. And you pretty much got a perfect objective score. I showed you, or gave you an option of how you could have got both Rifts and all 3 Dragons, but pretty much perfect play. In hindsight, we're always wiser than what we are in real time, so, not gonna chastise you for not getting both Rift Heralds when it wasn't even a part of your win condition. It's just a nicety. The 2 things, the 3 things besides the major themes were vision score, which I already touched upon, so remember to use your red trinket, especially when you're ganking or trying to secure an objective. 2, counter jungling. If you're ahead as much as you are against your enemy jungler, the only way to get yourself even more ahead in the least risky way possible is counter jungling, because 1, you're ahead of them, therefore you're almost always going to win the 1v1, and 2, if you take his camp, you're not only getting XP and gold for yourself, but you're taking away that gold and XP from him. So really important there. It's pretty much 2 times the value of your own camp. So look at counter jungling like that. Don't look at it like, oh, I'm getting 180 XP for Gromp. Look at it, I'm getting 360 XP from Gromp plus an extra 140 gold, because I'm not only taking the XP away from him, but I'm taking the gold, I'm frustrating him mentality wise, and I'm also just controlling the map. I'm asserting my dominance. Not only is he now getting tilted, his teammates are getting tilted because I'm counter jungling and I'm now ganking from his enemy jungle while he can't actually do anything about it. So counter jungling is a really important focus area that I want you to be looking at next. And then what was the third one? Oh, just efficiency. So, saving that extra second every now and then.